It's all gone quiet. So an opportunity to welcome you all, and especially to Colin, our newly elected councillor.
Good evening.
Oh, very good. These are the minutes, are they? Okay.
Before we start the meeting, can I just clarify, if there is anybody here taking recordings, either film or voice recordings, we do need to declare it, otherwise it's pointless.
Okay, my apologies, I am recording.
You're recording.
I'm recording.
Well, it's stereo. Yes, okay.
And it will be recorded in a minute.
Right, to receive apologies for absence, that is for Crook, Councillor Crook, and Tony Winterbottom. To approve the minutes of for councillors to declare any personal or prejudicial interest in the items on the agenda. And not a prejudicial interest, but in the finances there's one payment from myself. The minutes of the previous meeting have been circulated minutes. Are they an accurate copy? Motion and second, please.
I propose to accept the checks.
That's,
I abstain, I wasn't present at the meeting.
is that agreed, members? Will you need a show of hands? Except for the one abstention?
Same for me as well.
Of course, yeah.
That's a new one then.
Okay. Chairman's report. Just an update with regards to the culvert. We've got a meeting arranged next week with officers and Bucks County Council, and hopefully they'll be able to show us the surveyed route and where the channel will be dug across the field and then across the bottom of the meadow pitch, so it can once again rejoin the stream. And as I've said before, the Environment Agency will be paying for that and doing it. Just an update with regards to the lamppost in New Road. I have asked Aylesbury Main for a request for the cost of the removal and replacement, and I still wait to reply. There's another one small thing, and that is with regards to the mothers that wanted to start a under-6 football for the 18 months old to 6 years old. Now they seem to be looking for one of the halls in the village to do that. So I don't want to come into the park after all. And that's all I have for an update. Clerk's monthly.
I haven't got anything particular to report.
Okay. Move on to finance. To approve payment of the accounts. They have been circulated.
I wonder, Mr. Chairman, if we might take this in a slightly different order. The next item on the agenda is the report from the Finance and Staffing Committee, and I'd welcome the opportunity to go through the issues we had at that Finance and Staffing Committee and report back to the Council and to members of the public.
Yes, okay.
And then move on to the September money. So the first item we discussed was about the local clerk, and I don't know if others feel the same, but I still don't think we understand the terms and conditions. I think there's still a amount of confusion around the place, so perhaps I might take an action to speak to Christine and see if we can clarify that.
The only time I have available for you is to clerk the meetings for you, that's to attend now, and to prepare the minutes. I can promise to do other things, but they won't get done because I've got my own parish to look after. So if you're unhappy with that, then by all means look for another local clerk. Because I probably won't be doing November regardless.
It's not unhappiness, Christine, it's clarification, that's all.
But that was clarified at the meeting last time. That is what is that not what I said I would do?
I think it was.
That's exactly what and I think I'm not even sure if I limited it. What is if there's a problem with that, explain to me what the problem is.
I don't have any problem with that at all. I delight in that.
I don't want
it was under my impression that you were doing the agenda for the meeting. I stand corrected if you're not.
No, I amended this agenda at the request of more than one councillor. That is not my agenda per se, because I would not issue anything like that. And you know that, Jeff. You know my agendas are far more explicit. However, we are not in a normal circumstance here, so don't look for perfection anywhere in any of your meetings at the moment. Because it's just not happening.
That's fine, thank you.
So, but
if it was my misunderstanding, I was clear in my mind that you were going to prepare the agenda, and if you're not, that, as long as you understand that, that's
I
fine.
do have some concern that there is work that needs to be done for the parish council, and there don't seem to be many of the councillors here that are taking on board some of those tasks. It seems to me that everything at the moment is on the shoulders of the chairman. I'm particularly unhappy with the fact that the chairman is the responsible financial officer, and under the terms of the governance and accountability guidelines, the chairman of the parish council and the chairman of the finance committee cannot be the responsible financial officer. I'm quoting stuff here which I wouldn't normally do because you're in difficult circumstances, so I'd rather let common sense dictate what you do at the moment than get into the legalese of stuff. So that you definitely need to find, as soon as possible, until you get a clerk, somebody here that's prepared to be the responsible financial officer. When that term is strange, because even if you're a responsible financial officer, you are not responsible for the finances, because the parish council, as a corporate body, is responsible. So you can't blame the clerk when things go wrong. It's up to the parish council, as a corporate body, to agree things. So where things go wrong, it's no good people bleating. As a complete council, you're all responsible. It's no use saying, oh, well, I don't agree with what's happened. Stand up at the meeting and let a vote be taken. But that hasn't happened at this council for some time, I don't think. And who here is... You got a problem, Dave?
No.
I'm just making things quite clear for you, because there seems to be... I can sense an atmosphere in here which is horrible. It is quite toxic, and it's dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I've worked with several parish councils, and I've never ever experienced an atmosphere like the one in here tonight. Dreadful, appalling. And when I think what a parish council is here for, it's here to look after its residents, make sure the street lights are working, are the potholes, and is the grass being cut. And it seems to me that we've got a whole room full of people here that want to be parish councillors. Well, your opportunity will come next May. Fortunately, I hope I won't be here.
Next item on the Finance and Staffing Committee was the issue of the permanent clerk, and I wonder if, Richard, you could just bring us up to date in broad terms.
Oh, well, we went through 19 applicants, got another one today actually, but I had to tell her she was too late. We've come up with 7 for interview, and 3 have already replied that they would be coming for interview. And some of them look quite promising, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think before, and we've advertised for clerks before, we've had so many applicants and also so many good ones.
It's looking promising.
I should have mentioned we set up a 3-man subcommittee to manage this whole process. It's looking good. Okay, the next thing was that I reported to some extent on the current financial position, and I've done quite a bit more work since that meeting of the 16th of September, and if you'll bear with me, I'll just try and run through the highlights. I need to put this in context, I think, because broadly speaking, the incursion onto the Peel's land has cost the Parish Council somewhere in the region of £80,000. We increased the precept by £20,000, which leaves us having to find £60,000 from wherever. I have to suggest we've got a problem. We started the year with £25,500 in the bank account. That might reasonably be termed the reserve. My proposal is that we set the reserve for the end of this year at £30,000, and we manage our finances within that extremely limited range. The problem is that our projected income, I think, will be reasonably lower than we might have expected. We just don't seem to be getting money from the hub, and we would not be getting the VAT refunds that we aspired to. We have... Sorry?
Which refunds are they doing?
VAT refund.
Oh, I see.
The simple problem is we won't be spending much in the next 6 months, and therefore we can't expect VAT refunds if we're not spending. We have the precept. The second half of the precept arrived last week. I think that gives us about £55,000 in the bank. I've tried to divide the expenditure up. I did a fairly detailed analysis, and I've tried to divide the expenditure up into musts and maybes. The musts are kind of obvious. They're the things we simply can't avoid. If we have a clerk, we need to pay a salary. If we have to pay utility bills, whatever they are. There's a list as long as your arm of things that we must pay for. So our flexibility is in the maybes. And the maybes are things like the work we do on the footpath, lighting repairs, park maintenance, churchyard maintenance, looking for cheaper alternatives, say, emptying the bins. I reckon that the musts and maybes come to £35,000, and I reckon we've got £38,000 to play with. It's tight. It's really tight. And in fact, if the expenditure this month is approved, that's £4,000 we haven't accounted for. So we're immediately into cutting the maybes. It's as simple as that. So some things are going to have to go. We're going to have to experience some pain. The question is making the decisions as to where we impact. My rough, an extremely rough rule of thumb is that for each 10,000 of the suggested reserve that we drop, the precept will go up by a corresponding amount. That's my rough rule of thumb. So my feeling is we have got to eliminate some of the maybes absolutely immediately. Churchyard maintenance, for instance, no footpath maintenance, they just don't happen. I'm not inclined to suggest attacking lighting repairs, because that just simply defers expenditure to the next parish council, and I don't think that's reasonable. These are personal views. I think my main problem is one of the absence of control. What we're often presented with is a list of invoices to agree to the payment of, and those invoices represent goods or services that have already happened. We have really got to get a grip on the commissioning and purchase of services or goods. I have no idea when the company comes and does the churchyard. I don't know if we commission them and say, right, it's about time you turned up. I think we've got to stop. We've got to look at things like the park and say, okay, it might be nice to cut the grass every week, but it's going to have to be every other week. We can't afford it. It's as simple as that. I have done a slight, and issued to members, a slightly revised September payment sheet. I know Richard put one out, and I think you'll find that every item on Richard's list is also on mine, but it's ordered slightly differently. So the top few lines reflect the closing bank balances at the 25th of September. We had £2,000 in the bank accounts, across all of our accounts at that point. The precept has come in, so I haven't looked at the things today, Richard, but I guess we're up to about £55,000 across all three accounts. And we have further income that will come in, but some of it's unpredictable, some of it should happen, like the hub, but just doesn't seem to. So the reconciliations all tally in my spreadsheet. That's the good news. I came across 4 items of expenditure for which there's no minuted authorisation. And they're listed in the middle there. I agree with Richard that there may well have been email exchanges which authorised or approved the going ahead with A&M Environmental. But my point is that it is the minutes of the parish council meeting that are formal records, not a series of emails. And I think it's important to list these things out, even though it's post-approval.
Which items are these?
The ones in the middle there.
Oh, these ones here.
There's a little bit of confusion over 1 or 2. We seem to have had 2 requests from this company, Just Host, for domain registration, and I know Richard was going back to them to find out why the hell they asked us. I know it's only £8, but a bit of an issue. In the list at the bottom, the ones that are highlighted orange are the ones for which I had made no allowance in my musts or maybes. Just have no idea that legal fees were still rushing in. Emergency emptying of septic tanks, etc. That's 4,650. My suspicion is we can't avoid it. But we have to take some other measure to be able to pay it. And that other measure is cutting the musts at the moment.
You're concerned about the 4 payments. Are you concerned that perhaps the council hasn't authorised that payment in any way?
No, I'm very careful in my wording, Christine. The heading says the following items of expenditure occurred in September for which I can find no minuted authorisation. And I think that is a fact.
Okay.
All right?
Well, you can put that in future minutes if you want to, that the authorisation is there. Because you probably approved these payments, did you, in your budget preparation?
But that's not an approval for a payment, Christine. That's an approval of budget subheads.
So what you're suggesting that you wouldn't bother to pay British Gas for electricity at the parish office?
No, Christine, what I'm saying is that I can find no minuted authorisation for the payment of those 4 items.
Right.
Simple as that.
Wasn't a couple of the items I actually found, didn't I?
No, I've taken those out.
You've taken those out.
I've taken those out. I agree. The one for Staples and the one for Viking.
Yes.
There was approval. Thank you.
Is
Yes.
your only concern that they're not minuted? Or
Yeah,
is your concern
and this.
that the parish council doesn't actually authorise them?
Oh, we know the parish council doesn't authorise. They're not in the minutes, but they've been paid.
No, I must take issue with you. For example, the British Gas one.
The British Gas is a direct debit. All right.
So
It's
you
probably.
must take, now, if those other items are anywhere in the budget, that feature in the budget, it could be argued in court that actually you did agree to pay for them. The fact that you haven't minuted them can be amended by them being minuted,
No,
provided you authorise them.
Sorry, I'm going to disagree with you strongly there, Christine. I think you set a budget subhead as being a limit on an expenditure in a particular item. It's not an authority to spend within that budget subhead. Each individual item of expenditure has to be approved, and the mere fact that you set a budget subhead for the park for £10,000 does not give you the right to just go and spend it. It has to be approved.
Well, you have to say what you're spending it on.
Indeed. Now, I mean, it's quite simple. In the case of those 4, if the council is minded, we just now record our approval for the expenditure.
If you happen to do that.
It's
I
too late
suggest-
in the case of probably 4 of them. They've already all gone.
No, but during which year? This year?
Yeah, last month.
Right, the concern is that as an internal auditor, they could come along, find out that those items aren't in the minutes. And that would be picked up. And
Fine, but if we
external
agree
auditor-
now to their expenditure,
If
then
you-
they will be in the minutes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, that's what I want.
So I suggest that you do arrange for those to go in on the next agenda for approval. And then you're covered legally, provided you're all happy with the expenditure. I'm getting the impression that...
Do they need to go in the agenda? Can they not be part of the minutes of this meeting?
well, I don't see why not, if
I
you're
don't
all
see why not.
approved enough. Have you got those payment vouchers?
They'll be there. They'll be there. So.
They'll be there.
that all, Jeff?
No, I've got more. Sorry, Richard. Mr. Chairman, excuse me. I haven't got that more deliberately. It was just too much. Sorry, I've lost the plot here. We have these September payments. If we go down the list, I think there are one or two that we shouldn't be paying. I don't quite understand the Bucks County Council play around the Parish's invoice for £520. Can anybody enlighten me?
Well, I believe, you'll find in the minutes, we approved that. I haven't seen
In
it.
what minute?
In one of the minutes,
Several months back.
several months back,
Yeah,
that we would have, we agreed that we would have, what, 3 times whatever it was. No,
During the summer break to,
Well, I urge you to reject that now. I mean, we only paid 120 quid last year. Why are we paying 520 this?
well, we'll have to go back in the minutes to see what we
We
approved.
can't afford it. It's, we have got to understand this situation. We can't afford it.
First, can I just clarify, are you sure that's Bucks County Council, it's ABDC that provide parishes?
Is it?
Salisbury Vale District Council.
Have you got it?
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
It's in the bills here.
And how many times was it they came?
3 or 4 months.
Tuesday the 5th of August, Tuesday the 12th of August, Tuesday the 19th and Tuesday the 26th. So how much was it last year?
What, 120?
How many we agreed to have? That's, we'll look into the minutes.
There must have
and
been
see.
one last year then, because it's what was it, 130 quid?
We'll have a look in the minutes, but I remember it coming up.
I thought the Bucks County Council legal fee period 9 might have been a duplication, but I gather not. I gather that's something new.
That we are actually examining 2 of theirs, which we think is duplication. I got the invoices back from Joe and I haven't yet gone through.
No, only
Monday, yeah.
Monday evening. Well, just on that, I mean, the actual invoice from Bucks County Council say legal charges period 2. Not period 9. So, the confusion.
Yes, I found that before.
Fire FM extinguisher maintenance for the hub. Are we paying that or is the hub paying that?
That's going to be on the agenda for the meeting for the hub, amongst other things.
So we're not approving that?
Well, it's to us, but we'll have to pay it and then get a refund.
Who are BLM Law?
And everything.
That is in connection with our insurance company.
Something to do with that, is it?
Yes, it's that.
Something to do with that when we look
Yeah,
at
that's
it.
it. Yes, that.
Contract the VHM actually start standing too late.
Yeah, but we'll recover that.
Well, I might comment from other members, sorry.
I had a look at this, the legal fees, period 9, Bucks County Council 2376. That is related to the defamation regarding the statement that the chairman read out. I said at a closed session meeting soon after that that statement was not approved by the council. It was not seen by anyone on the council to make a comment, and I stand to be corrected, but I believe the vice chairman at the time advised that it not be read out. It was read out, and that's caused a defamation and that expense to this council, and I still don't understand why the council has to pay that. That was a personal statement as far as I was concerned, and I don't see why the council should be paying that.
Because we have insurance for that very purpose.
So that is going to be covered on insurance in that 2,376?
Well, that's
Because there's an invoice there from Bucks County Council, and it's itemised.
I see, but our insurance company covered the other side of it, yes.
Yeah, but it's not covering this side of it, which is this expense, which is an expense that there was no reason we needed to incur. Absolutely no reason. It was an unimproved, unauthorised, I should say, statement.
But an accurate one.
I'm not going to comment on that, but I'm just going down exactly what I'm saying there.
Now, with regards to Jeff, I mean, you've quite got into detail of our financial position, but if you look at what we've spent in the last 6 months of the previous year, which I have done, and where, of course, no longer cutting grass in the churchyard, no longer cutting the park that often, we actually spent £43,000 in that same period.
We can't afford to spend £43,000.
But you've actually set a target of 30,000 reserve. We've never had a reserve of £30,000. In fact, normally it's 10,000.
I have been at meetings where we've argued that the reserve should be 50% of the precept.
I would agree, but
So we need to set a figure as a council and aim at that as a target.
when this council has, with regards to the precept, asked to set it even at the retail price index, one person always voted against it.
Probably me.
Yes, it was.
Rightly so. Rightly so.
So, I mean, if we hadn't had no increase at all, we would be even...
We're skirting around the issue, Mr. Chairman. If you want to drop the reserve and pick a different figure, fine, but the precept will have to rise accordingly to provide the new parish council with sufficient funds to do their work and have a reserve.
Yes, okay, I wouldn't argue with that, but I think you'll find that come the end of this financial year, the reserve will set itself and it won't be £30,000, it'll be more like 15.
We will have to predict that when we do the precept in November.
Okay,
Could I just raise a query? A cheque was paid for £25,000, 750, I believe by you sometime in August, I'm not sure when, but there's been no record of it in any of the last 3 months' accounts. Could you tell me why?
25,000?
750 to Lightfoot's.
Oh, really, that was, yes, that was agreed in one of the minutes. One of
But
the
shouldn't it appear on these accounts so the public
Well,
can
it
see?
should have appeared before I did those.
It hasn't appeared in the last 3 months.
Well, it should have done, but I wasn't looking after them then.
But you signed a cheque and it's gone out.
Well, yes, we had a clerk at that time.
I don't think we did actually, because the letter here is the 18th of August and our clerk resigned on the 6th. So
Well, here
we
we
didn't
are.
have a clerk then,
It
we
was,
didn't clerk.
it was the 14th, I think.
I've got all the email trail here
All right.
that you sent out to everybody, so
But she should have been then in the one of the last
this is considerable amount of money for us not to show
Yes,
in any
yes,
of our
but you are all
accounts.
aware of it, aren't you?
Yes,
That
but
is
that's not the point.
It
It
is the
should be in
formal
here.
record of the minutes of the meeting.
Well, as the clerk said, you need a finance officer. Now, if no one else is going to do it, then I have to do it.
But you haven't done it. Why haven't
Well,
you
there
done
we
it?
are then. You brought it up. Thank you. Right.
Is this amount of money for the current year?
Yes.
Yes.
So the items appearing in this finance, which Jeff, I think you eventually put out to me, didn't you?
I'm sorry?
You sent this through to me, and this is the exact copy of what these.
It might have a slight variance simply in bringing it up to date.
Yeah.
But this is as of, certainly the figures at the top are as of 25th of September.
Okay, thank you.
Now, formally, I don't think we have any choice but to approve the 4 items of expenditure for which there is no minute authorisation. So I propose that we accept those and just get on with life. At least they're minuted.
Can I have a proposer first? You propose. Can I have a seconder? And can I have a show of hands?
I need to declare an interest, sorry.
Show of hands.
If we move on then to release of employee pensions.
Can I just carry on with the sequence, if I may? Because we haven't. Can you remind me, Christine, what did we just agree?
We just agreed to...
Finances.
You just agreed to those four payments.
Indeed.
Payments.
So now we have 2 more payments, which is Just Host and British Gas, subject to the clarification from Just Host, which I think is a duplicate. I suggest again that we just pay those.
Yes.
Where are we now? On the bottom?
No, we're in the middle too, the retrospective authority to pay.
Okay.
So, I propose that we just go ahead and pay those. Joe?
Yeah, so
Good man.
I thought we'd been paid. No, we haven't been paid.
We haven't formally agreed
Both of them
their
have been paid.
expenditure. They have been paid. That's why
Isn't that what
retrospective.
you said the minute those four has been...
Yeah, the four were never minuted in the first place.
Right.
These two are now current, but they've gone already. And we're now left with the list, the full list there. I think, I have suggested we knock out Play Around the Parishes, so perhaps we can exclude that from the approval list for the moment. And I think we are also saying that we should remove the hub fire extinguisher maintenance.
We've got to pay it.
I suggest before you refrain from paying ABDC, you check that you have actually asked them to come along and do it, because you will throw the council right into disrepute if you suddenly say, yes, they did it. Well, we did it, but we didn't minute it, so I'm not paying it.
Chairman, it's my view, sorry, Clark. Chairman, it's my view that this council authorised that reservation for that activity at that value. I haven't got the historic minutes in front of me, but it's my recollection that this council authorised that sum of money some months ago for those activities.
I've got to be honest, I'll agree with Mark on that one. I do generally recall that.
We did approve it, but for how many, I don't know.
Do you know when, Martin?
Again, this.
Minutes here.
Early summer, that's all I'll say.
Would have been before July.
Yes, before.
Yeah, it would have been.
They usually come out between Easter and June and July, because they need to work out where they're going, what dates.
I'll go further to say that I am of the opinion and the belief that the fact that the cost had gone up was noted by the council, and it was accepted that because ABDC is in its own financial constraints, that the enhanced cost over the previous year was accepted. But I am shooting from the hip a little bit, so I don't have the documents in front of me, but that's my recollection.
Well, we haven't a lot of choice, but as most of these things have probably actually happened, I suspect that Mr Sharp has done the repairs to lock down New Road and Wembley, etc. But we probably need a formal recommendation to pay. I would just simply point out that the 10,800 that's listed there now takes us down to 27,000 left to spend on the rest of this year.
But as you said, Jeff, there's VAT that we've already put in for, there's about 3,500 VAT still outstanding.
Indeed, and I have allowed for that in the income that's still to be expected over and above the current figure in the bank account.
But as I say, we've never actually gone ahead with 30,000 in reserve. Anyhow, those
I think
items,
Jeff's asking for, is that a motion, Jeff?
I would like to propose a motion, yes, that we allow ourselves £30,000, that's our target, and we adjust our expenditure
You can
accordingly.
have it as a target, make every effort to get there. It's not a terrible failure if you don't, but it would be nice to know, where you stand. And if you don't think it's 30, is there a counter proposal?
well, it is a figure that we will aim for, but there's no guarantee that we get it. None whatsoever. I mean, we had this in the park here where the pumps were fouled up by people putting things down the toilet they shouldn't have, and we ended up with a bill for, well, even with the VAT back, we're still best part of £5,000.
So can I get an idea of who thinks 30,000 is an appropriate figure to aim for? Even though you won't make it this year.
We need something to aim at, so I can't see why we can't aim at that figure. I mean, we probably won't hit it, but at least we've got something.
Right, so Dave proposal. Is there a counter proposal, somebody want to make it less, or? So is everybody content for me to say, put that in minutes? 30 million.
That was a target.
If you've got it, not 30 million.
We might not reach it, we might not.
But you can, it doesn't have, even if you don't do it this year, you can put things in next year. It's something that you've got something to go for.
Yes.
That is the advice, isn't it, of bulk, that we should have that sort of percentage of the precept.
But council discount size, you should have at least 50% of your precept, so you can cover yourself should anything go wrong if you don't get one half year's precept for whatever reason. However, having said that, it's not for anyone to tell you how much money you have. You can have set aside reserves for whatever you like. What you can't do is have money for no reason. So 50% for you would be about the right amount to aim for.
So we're going for 30%.
Around 30%, which is probably acceptable to the
Current circumstances.
yeah.
Are you noting that?
Limiting the 30,000.
I've
First
got...
by Dave, seconded by Colin.
Can I raise one other issue? We have recorded an income from the hub, a princely sum of £146.80. I understand, Richard, from discussing with you last week, that this is netted out by the hub.
Yes.
That is not acceptable under any circumstances.
It isn't.
The hub should be paying their rent up front, and if we owe them money for water, we pay them the money. It is not acceptable at all for the hub to net out figures like that.
So you owe money for what?
Water.
Yes, I mean that has come through like that. We need a meeting with them over that and other issues as well. Well, you see, there's only 1 metre into that building, and the actual changing rooms, there's a separate meter we have, and so it can be gauged how much water is being used in the changing rooms. But the amount that is actually being charged is, in fact I've done some work on it, it's 6 times more than the bulbs club is paying.
I also seem to recollect earlier in the year when he actually got up to date, or close to getting up to date. He said during the good months he was going to pay us money in advance, which he's never done.
I remember that.
To make up for the bad months over the winter when he makes no money.
He's running ring rounds.
I know that. It's got to a meeting.
Absolutely running ring rounds.
Anyhow,
If I may carry on, sorry.
So what do you propose to do about this? You're going to have a
we
meeting?
first have a meeting over several issues with the hub. But the water is one, also such as the fire extinguishers and so on, that is in his lease, is under his obligation.
Are you receiving any rent?
We are, in fact we received rent again today, but again that's questionable.
Was it the farm out?
Water again.
Water again.
What's the issue with water?
Well, there's only 1 metre to that building.
Come out. Get a separate meter put in.
Yes, I think it's quite worth it.
But we have a meter in the building itself, in the changing rooms. We know how much water is being used there. But of course, it's coming, we need to see what he's paying for it. And I think it's...
So we need the bill.
We need the bill, yeah.
If I may just run through in sequence, I think we've come to agreement on the figures with the external auditor.
Yes, gone off.
Unfortunately, Christine, I've only just noticed in an email you sent me that you wanted me to do the comparison of differences between previous year and last year.
Oh, I thought you
Sorry.
wanted that. I don't think he's too concerned about that. He was just worried that he got the figures in by the 1st of October.
And he has the figures that we
He
agreed.
obviously had something from the previous clerk in terms of differences. You might recall that you all are happy with the condition of the form. That's what actually went out. It looks much neater. So, but I didn't do a whole form simply because, I can copy for you all, simply because to do another entire annual return would have meant that you'd have to go back to your internal auditors. So
Not advisable.
he accepted that if I stapled this on top of the other sheet with the appropriate dates, it would be fine. So I've done copies for everybody.
Christine, can I congratulate you on drawing this to a satisfactory conclusion? I said, can I congratulate you on drawing this to a satisfactory conclusion?
Yes.
Many a telephone call to Mazars I have
I
witnessed.
love these coming back from the auditor. I'm like the car's gone to MOT.
And as a volunteer to do it.
Yes.
Yes.
If I may carry on quickly, the internal auditor, we discussed our disquiet on what the internal auditor produced, and I have agreed to draft a letter of complaint and to seek return of what we paid them. It's just woefully inadequate. The precept process will start in November, and I understand from Christine, Carol, you can correct me, mid-January is likely to be the sort of target to get the precept figures into AVDC. So we'll start that November with a view to properly trying to agree final figures at the January meeting to pass on to AVDC. The next thing we discovered, Richard, will discuss was the local government pension scheme.
It's the next item on the agenda.
Yeah, do you want to comment on that one?
Well, it's actually the release of the employees' pension, isn't it?
No, this is the local government pension scheme. Should we stay within at no cost?
So that comes further on the agenda, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was something we discussed at finance and
We
staff.
did discuss it, yeah, we did, yes.
This is one of the form of words we need to.
Well, that's right. I thought it was an agenda item. This agenda has been done so many times, it seems to have disappeared now.
That's 14165.
Top right, second window.
Oh, yes, I see. Yes, we did discuss this. We had a letter, or rather an email, which has been circulated to all the members, from Claire Lewis-Smith of Bucks County Council. And she was pointing out that as we had no members at the moment of the scheme, she was prepared to wind the scheme up. If she did so, there was a fee for the actuary, and also of £2,000 plus VAT. And then also, if we were in deficit with the fund, we would have expected to make a contribution. But if, of course, we pass a resolution to say that we're staying in the fund, then that won't be necessary. And the opinion of the staff of finance was that this parish council should pass a resolution to the effect that any of our staff in the future will be allowed to join the scheme.
Thank you.
So
I
if
think
the members agree,
We need a proposal.
we propose it as well.
Propose.
And second.
Is that agreed, members?
Yep.
I'm bouncing around slightly, for which I apologise. I would like to propose that the terms of reference for the Finance and Staffing Committee are amended so that the committee can comprise 6 members of the Parish Council. Perhaps somebody could second that.
We have at the moment, it's 5, isn't it?
It is 5 is written into the terms of reference.
Yes, I mean, why should we have more?
Because I think there is plenty of work to do in the next 6 months and we need to share the load.
Mine as well.
Your load what?
My load.
Fine. I think I've probably been doing quite a bit of the load with the finance analysis.
Well, you certainly have, but you could have, well, you were.
Don't go there, Richard.
Yes, well, you were in to do it in any case.
So my proposal is that we amend the terms of reference to increase the number of people to 6.
Second that.
Second one? Where is it? Oh, 2. All in favour?
I'll vote against. I think it's necessary.
Well, Teresa, you can do it again. You were on the finance before.
Right, can I further propose that Jean Savagar is added as the additional member?
Oh. Well, I suppose.
I don't want to do it anyway, Richard,
Right.
thank you. I don't want to have it, we want to have it, ask around if you'd like to do it.
I've made a proposal. You can counter propose and I'm quite happy.
Is there anything else? Definitely not sure.
So I'd like a second, please.
Well done then.
Okay. So that's 4.
sorry. I haven't voted at all.
I'm abstaining.
I haven't made a note of this, and I've got proposed budget seconded by Dave. Oh, but nobody else in support of that. One extension. And 4 against.
That's
So that motion hasn't been carried. Has anybody got a counter proposal?
Right, so it stays at 5 then?
Well,
No, we
you
passed a
can have
motion to
6.
increase it to 6
You can have
already.
6, but you haven't decided who the 6th one is going to be. Who's on the committee at the moment?
Myself, Richard, Martin, Joe and Dave. The last question I have is about the mandate, if I may. Could you elaborate, Richard, on where we stand with the bank mandate?
Well, it went off originally with 3, but of course 1 dropped out, and gone forward with Martin and I are the 2 signatures on the mandate.
Just for clarity, Mr. Chairman, I did not drop out. There was a motion approved by this meeting at its July meeting that 3 signatures should be added. Those are Maskell, Watson and Ploughman. I wonder under what authority you went against, or you have gone against the wishes of the full parish council and knocked the number of signatures down to 2.
Only because there wasn't a 3rd one. If someone wanted to come
I'm sorry, there is a motion saying 3 people.
So,
Right, it is approved by the full parish council.
and you were the 3rd one.
Indeed.
So now we've got a vacancy for anyone, so if there's a motion of this...
Now, we have a motion already which says 3 names. I'm asking you under what authority you knocked a name off that list
Because you asked-
against the wishes of the full parish council.
Because you asked to come off it.
No, I didn't.
What did you do then?
I declined the offer to become the financial officer, i.e. to sit there and feed in all of the day-to-day account information. I did not decline.
Councillor Ploughman, if I can just interject here.
Go on.
I seem to recall a communication between you and myself regarding submission of personal details to Barclays Bank.
Indeed.
And you said it wasn't necessary for you to appear at the bank and present your details because you were already a customer of Barclays Bank.
Indeed.
Which suggests to me that you were prepared to go along and fit and complete the form.
No. I discussed it with Barclays Bank, and whereas it may have been necessary for you and Richard to go to the bank with personal details to validate your person, if you will, it was not necessary for me to do so because I'm already a customer of the bank. Now,
If you weren't prepared to be a signatory, why did you even have to have that conversation?
I was prepared to be a signature. I filled the forms in.
Yes, you
I passed
did.
them
So
on to
what-
Richard, and I passed them on to you, and you commented to me on the 28th of August.
And then you've withdrawn. So we had
I
3.
did not withdraw.
So aren't you on there now?
I don't know. I filled the forms in. I'm wondering why we only got 2 names there.
Can we
Just a
find a
minute.
solution then?
No, just a minute. I was already a signatory, but I still had to go along to the bank and prove who I was, although I was already a signatory. So, I mean...
So, in fact, I'm not entirely sure what the relevance of that is. There were supposed to be 3 names on that mandate. I filled out a form, but I take it from Martin's email that he filled out a form, and I take it that you filled out a form. Somehow a name got knocked off, and I'm wondering under what authority you knocked the name off.
Because you said you didn't want to do the
I
role.
did not do that.
Shall we move on from that then and get the situation put right? So is everybody happy for Jeff to be a signatory?
Yes.
Yes.
Then, are you happy to be a signatory, Jeff?
I'm fully
Get
in
it
line with the
sorted.
minutes of that meeting.
Get
Thank
it
you.
sorted.
Is that all you have on file?
That'll do me for now.
Yeah.
Sorry, those are
And after all that, did we ever approve the finance which, for October, which was circulated? Yes or no? Proposer and seconder. Proposer, Joe, seconder.
Yeah.
Yeah. the finance approved? Yes or no?
Can I have a show
Show
of
of
hands,
hands.
please?
I abstain.
You abstain.
I abstain as well.
You abstain.
I'll go for it.
Go for it. Thank you. You seem to have moved about because already the next item on the agenda was the release of employers' pension, which actually was discussed by the staff and finance and recommended that we passed a resolution, the document been circulated, remember? And the resolution was that Aston Parish Council will provide any documents it possesses to facilitate the early release of the benefits of Anthony Ayres' local government pension as from the 30th of August 2013 without any waiver of actuarial reductions, and if Mr Anthony Ayres decides to, on the early release of the benefits of his pension, Aston Clinton Parish Council will not make any financial contribution towards the early release. Anyone wish to discuss that? Can I then have a proposal, please? Jeff? Joe?
Do you need a show of hands for that
We
one?
do, yes. Can we have a show of hands, please? Almost unanimous, isn't it? Oh, goodness me. That's what I do. We'll move on then to Recreation Council's responses to incidents in the park. One of the most recent incidents I have circulated to members, and that was a marquee being erected in front of the hub. Prior to that, which I've come to, prior to that, I had the children's play area where there was dangerous concrete now been exposed. The back door to the changing rooms was smashed one day, and late one Sunday night I was called to that. I've been called to the pumps not working for the sewage. But I don't have any more power than any other councillor here. Why am I being called every time?
That's absolutely right.
And
I don't know why more people in the council aren't taking some responsibility for some of the actions that have got us to do with it. Someone's got to maybe stand up.
Well, I don't think we've been asked, to be perfectly honest. We've not been asked to cover various tasks.
Have you got a recreation committee?
Yes.
Who's chair?
Usually I chair everything, but there we are. But the thing is, though, that strictly speaking, the officer of the council is clerk. Isn't that right, Jean?
Excuse me?
The officer of the council, the proper officer, these roles, and should be the clerk. The clerk should be called out for these sort of incidents. And it's never happened here. And bearing in mind we've had clerks that lived in Lake and Buzzard and Cheddington and far away, and it's always the chairman who gets called. Now, quite really, I mean, you're looking at our standing orders. They really need to be changed, don't they?
They're in the process of being changed, yes. I'm still hunting for more documents to make sure it's absolutely up to date, but they will be released soon.
Even our bylaws for the park say that they should be enforced by the officer of the council. So is that the clerk or is that the parish council?
There's only one officer of the council, that's the parish clerk or any other staff or officers.
That might have to be considered in the resolution, but unless we want to go to the Secretary of State to change their bylaws.
Obviously, when we are recruiting staff, we need to think of having somebody, not particularly in the village, but someone reasonably close to the village, if they've got to come out and look at these problems, and it's their problem to do that. So,
You will put that in the job description, will you?
well, I think that needs to go in the job description.
Christine, is that
I wish you
normal?
had.
Is that normal in all other parish
Well, I
councils?
don't think you'd get
A clerk only
clerk
doing
out
that.
at
I don't
12
know.
o'clock at night.
I don't.
And I think it would be unreasonable to expect that.
And there you are, so it ends up with the chairman of the county.
It was one of my prime concerns when we went through the CVs the other evening, with the location of the incoming clerk. We had one application from Harrogate in Yorkshire. I didn't feel that was particularly local, and someone a bit nearer to home might be more appropriate.
I mean, not necessarily to live in the village, that might be too close, but I do think that it does need to be, we do need to think of their location in, yes, you may need to come out on a weekend.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I mentioned a few meetings ago, and I think it's only probably Mr. Clark's left, it's not moved on, that we all have a parish council email address. This could be put on the parish board. If these incidents occur, we can have particular perhaps tasks assigned to our names, where we could all be contacted and be shared. But that's not been acted on, it's not been moved on. You know, nothing's happened on that. So as much as perhaps the councillors here are trying to put things into place to share the workload, it's just not happening.
So can that be set up?
Well, Chris, I don't know how many times we've got to talk about it because we spoke about it and it's just not happening. So
Well, I think it's gone into abeyance because we haven't a clerk.
Well, yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, I've never shied away from doing anything, but if I don't get asked, the first I knew about the funds was when I was told that it's already been virtually agreed, I believe. I mean, how much...
Time to sort out some kind of way of corresponding with each other. So you all know what's going on in the village and where, and good idea.
Well, emails is one of them on the notice board, but I mean, that wouldn't get an instant response, would it?
You have all the mobile numbers, that would.
Right. Yes, well you do, you have all the mobile numbers.
Well, why don't you use those then?
Well, can I just remind members, we are all unpaid. We do this job voluntarily.
You choose to do it.
I think regarding mobile numbers, I mean, some of us councillors are still at work, some are retired, some are not. I mean, it'd be very awkward for me to take calls at work, but an email I could read and respond to.
Or what about text then on mobile?
Yeah, some people might not know the difference. You know, some people will ring. You know, I'm quite happy to be. I can answer an email very quickly, you know, and give a response and then deal with it. But I wouldn't be happy about my mobile number. Well, that's me personally. If it came to it, I would perhaps purchase a cheap mobile phone and put a number up there that I'll just use just for that. I've got no issues with people contacting me. It's just that I'm not working. It could be difficult for me to obviously answer the calls. I'm quite happy to be contacted by email at any time.
How often are you called out on emergency?
Well, in the last 6 months, that's
It may be that you'll need to address
5
that
times.
issue as a separate entity, because it's rather unusual to get called out and then not.
well, the difference is of this council to others is we've got a park here, and in the summer in particular, it's packed with people, and incidents occur.
You have got a vice chairman you can call upon.
He does. Okay. And he responds.
There you go.
Anyhow, I believe that other parish councils in Butland have the councillors' names up on the notice board and their telephone numbers.
That's required.
Yeah.
As your name and telephone number should be published.
Yeah. So that could actually be on their notice board there, and we could have a who's on call.
You could organise a contactable for 1 month on, 1 month off, or 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. You could do something like that.
Yeah. Because I mean, obviously, I do go on holiday and hope to have one soon, but I haven't had any for a while.
Well, the thing is, if you get people ringing up about things, I presume they pick up your name or your email or whatever, then it just needs to be passed on, surely. I mean, the people in the park who have to call, they're not going to know who's going to be available, but that needs to be done among us. Whoever rings says, oh, it's okay, it's Colin next month or this week, I'll give him a shout and he can go and look at it. Or whatever. I'm surely we can manage to do that between us with mobiles, can't we?
Oh, good, yes. Oh, yes. Anyhow, put the name, the telephone numbers up would be the first thing.
And in case you're wondering, anybody can get hold of the telephone numbers from the electoral register. because of course you have to give it to town council, so it's not something that...
The electoral register. That is not the electoral
No,
register.
no, Chris Shears, his name is, he looks after the election.
Returning officer.
Yeah, that's it, yes, he would have all the details, so...
So that's what we're obliged to do, is put the telephone numbers up, so that can be done, because I've just updated them. A sliding scale on the side, who's on call. Okay. And members happy with that? Do we want to vote on that?
Well, we can't vote on it, it's just a legal requirement.
So we are, okay.
Well, the setting up a road that you're thinking about, I don't think we should vote on that yet. It's something you can put on as a future agenda item, to prepare for the meeting, come up with some ideas how those could work. If there's 11 of you and you did it on a weekly basis, it's 1 out of 11 weeks, which is not too long.
Okay, we'll move on then to park equipment to be maintained and safety measures. Well, the park equipment for a start to be maintained.
Yes. I've asked Mr. Jones, I'm not sure it was in the August meeting. I asked a question in finances regarding the tractor, it might be in finances, about the tractor that's got damaged. My concern was, and at no way was I pointing any blame, I was just more wondering whether or not it was being serviced and maintained. Mm-hmm. And you responded by saying there was a various conversation, but it sort of finished the fact that Joe Everett is not a qualified engineer to do the work on the computer because it was specialised, and that was obviously Councillor Crook then backed that up. Well, I looked back through our invoices, and back in July last year, Everett Agriculture did actually do work on the tractor. Mm-hmm. Now, my concern is not so much what was done then, I'm sure it was done correctly and there's no issues with that. My concern is that what do we actually know that our contractors are doing? And are they, as your own words say, they're not specialists and they're not qualified to work on it? Why are they working on it? And who's authorised them to work on it?
Joe Everett is qualified as an agriculture engineer, but when he's, with regards to the Kubota, when he serviced it, I would gather that we do like oil filter and so on. But when it comes to actually changing the engine of that, I understand that is a specialist.
Yeah, we're not talking about engine. I was asking about, at this point, whether or not it was being maintained and serviced. And you clearly said it was not, because it was a qualified engineer. It was qualified to work on it. Which Mr. Crook, Councillor Crook, also said that in respect to the challenge about service and maintenance, it was unfair to allege an error on the current groundsman. I didn't ever allege that. I would never do that. I'm not saying he did. But what I'm saying is the fact that we were told he wasn't working on it, and in fact he is. I've got a problem with the fact he's working on it, as long as he is qualified. But what I don't know is this verbal contract we seem to have with contractors is we don't really know what they're doing. Are they working on it? Are they not? If you as chairman don't know, and the chairman of the finance committee at that time don't know, how are we as councillors meant to know? And I think this goes back to where we really need a proper job specification and scope of work, so we know what's going on.
Don is here at the moment. You can put his hand up. Can you enlighten us on the servicing and tractors?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. When you asked us to take over, the grass was pretty long on that, and the blue tractor, which is the big one, broke down the second day I used it, and I went to get a fuel filter, and I had to argue with the firm that they give me the wrong filter, and which they had, and I eventually got the right filter, and that filter had never been changed since that tractor was bought second hand. We'll go on to the red tractor, which is in controversy. Those tractors, yours, were changed, and everything that could be done properly was done properly. But I come back to you and said that the red tractor was a very poor starter and needed something major doing with it because we was having problems with it. And I mean, it turned out in the end, when it finally overheated and blew up, that the gauge thing had been disconnected on it. So the driver at the time wasn't to know it was overheating. It had overheated once, twice before. We'd always noticed it in time, but we didn't know that the gauge had been. There's a wire actually been cut, and apparently it was a weak spot of that make. And they tell me all modern makes of even cars have got pressurised systems, and if they start overheating, they will do an engine in pretty quick, whereas in the old days you could boil engines up all day. I mean, I haven't got a tractor on the farm or a combine after they ain't boiled for a long time. I mean, times I've had to stop and come home to try and get cooling on them. So I could take you through a long thing of problems before that, but I was...
I'm not questioning anyway, Mr. Abbott, your work abilities or anything. My question is the fact that we're told, and what I'm led to believe is the chairman at that point does not believe that you're doing any work on that tractor, or on his response here, but it actually turns out you did. I'm not in any way querying the work you did. The fact is that we are got contractors doing work and we do not know what they're doing.
Well,
As in doing, we don't know the fact that what work they're undertaking and what are we paying for, because we surely there should be a scope of works beforehand that we have agreed as a council, and that wouldn't have been on there because, as you say, they're not.
The earlier work on the blue tractor, or the Ford tractor, now that was discussed in the parish council for that, because I believe that a ram had to be replaced on that, which cost about £800. So I mean, the council did know, because they authorised the payment for it.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that truck, we're talking about the Kabuta.
Yes, well, the same with the Kabuta. The servicing, generally servicing with the oil filter and sharpening it. Yes, I mean that's what was done. But when it comes to actually changing an engine, it's a specialist role.
We weren't talking about changing. I mean that's not a run of the mill.
We seem to be getting nowhere with this. I mean,
my point is, Mr. Chairman, is fine. I'm not.
What, you can't just abandon it.
No, well, I'm not being spoken to. Like, who said that? I want to know what councillor just said that. It was ridiculous.
Well, it was your chairman.
Well, I'm not prepared to carry on the conversation.
well, I would withdraw that. But
No, sorry, I'm not allowed.
What are we trying to establish?
I'm trying to establish exactly what remit they're working under, Mr. Chairman, because at the end of the day, you don't believe they're doing any work on it. They are doing work on it. I'm not questioning the work they're doing on it. So what are we paying for? And it goes back to the finances, where we're getting invoices that we do not know where they're coming from and how we're meant to run our finances.
So can you provide...
Mr. Chairman, can I come in once more on this?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think that the floor's allowed to speak when we're talking. No one else is allowed to interrupt.
Well, at least we get a first-hand exactly what's happened.
Yeah. I'm not prepared to continue this conversation, not after the comedy moment.
I think we should object about the chairman. You should moderate what you say and what you do.
I think we've already withdrawn that.
No, you're too late. Your whole
You
attitude today stinks.
I think basically after listening to that conversation there, it seems to me we have or we haven't got an agreement as to someone maintaining this machinery. Now I don't know anything that's gone in the past, I'm just coming on this from the bar. So listening to that, it seems to me, do we approve maintenance of those tractors on a yearly basis? Do the council approve that? If they do, then we should get an invoice from someone for the maintenance that's done, by someone that's approved to do the maintenance. If we don't, then you can't willy-nilly have invoices coming and being paid, which is what I gather seems to be happening, without any approval for a maintenance contract. Yeah. It's like your car, you either go to the garage and you approve it go, or you go to a flyboy and you pay. We need something written down to say, yes, we will have these tractors maintained, or no, we won't have them maintained.
Yeah, the invoices do
one
come
or
in,
the other.
The invoices do come in with actually stating that the work has been done on either one of those tractors. What is actually specified, what has been done, probably isn't. It's not specified in detail.
Right, so we really need to know whether we're going to get these serviced yearly. Can we afford it?
Well, this one of the tractors is completely written off.
Is it? Right.
Yeah.
So it's gone. So what are we doing about that?
Well, that's an ongoing issue. We're sort of, well, I believe that we're going to look into how we can move forward with that with different contractors, from what I can gather. I don't know.
So I think the council needs to approve then that we need an annual however
On
often this
the,
thing
on
needs to
the
be approved.
invoices, we need really to be written down exactly what work has been done.
And we need a to say, yes, we approve of maintenance once a year on this tractor.
Shouldn't it be the other way around, that we decide what needs to be maintained in all aspects of the park and the recreation, and then we have a terms of reference to say that yes, like you do with your car.
Yes, in fact, the maintenance of the park, in fact, Tony Winterbottom has actually drawn up that for discussion eventually.
Does that include the equipment as well?
I don't think it does, no, it's the actual park
They're
itself.
probably the most expensive assets though, aren't they?
So, but these invoices for the actual work on the Kubota or the other one, we need to specify exactly what's been done.
You do, and you need to make a contract for maintenance with someone as well. So we get it serviced, so it doesn't keep breaking down and cost us a fortune.
Okay.
I don't know if that needs to be proposed or needs to be discussed by somebody.
Yeah, but thank you. At least you've got it,
Okay.
So, well, it's on the agenda, so can I have a proposal that you do seek out a supplier for a maintenance contract? And then you can put the price.
Do we have a parks committee?
we do.
Is that referred to the parks?
Yes, in fact, Tony has actually, in the Parks Committee, he's drawn up a document for maintenance of the park itself.
So are we going to do that? Are we going to refer it to the Parks Committee for approval for maintenance contract? Yep. Can we do that, Christine?
I think what they also used to do is put, like I said, put a remit together all the jobs around like the churchyard, the park, and what we expect from the contractors. That's what we should be doing.
That'll help us budget, I believe, for the rest of the year.
Because then you can put it out to tender to
Correct.
people you want to.
Okay, that's agreed. Then they'll go to the Parks Committee to, with regards to the contract, which has already been drawn up for them to consider, and also to include the maintenance of the.
Yes.
Safety measures for the pond in the park.
That's my suggestion. It's never ceased to amaze me that the council owns a significant piece of water within the bounds of the park, towards the eastern end where the spring rises, but seems to take no responsibility for ensuring that the public are advised of the risks that such water presents. Indeed, I'm advised there has been a death by drowning of an adult in the past in that pond, and I understand it is a lot deeper than may be apparent, with considerable silt masking the true depth. This piece of water should surely be the subject of a formal risk assessment by the council in line with the requirements for safely managing the park facilities. My motion is that the council agrees it should take adequate safety measures with the pond in the park to protect the public. At least to assess it. To have a sign, I think it may be difficult, but I think it needs to be looked at.
Chairman, can I make some contribution here? I believe a past chairman is in the audience, and John, can you tell me if I've misunderstood this or misrecollected it. There was a risk assessment done of that pond some years ago. I cannot remember the name of the agency that came out to undertake that risk assessment, because there was a thought process that it should be fenced in. The consensus or the result from that survey was that it should not be fenced in, because if any individual fell in, it would be more difficult for them to get out if there was a fence in place.
Sign and a life raft.
Do they not need a sign to say it's deep water?
Sign and a life raft.
Well, it certainly is deep water, yes. But whether we have equipment there, rescue equipment, that's what.
I think a risk assessment would advise us on that, surely, wouldn't it?
So how long would it remain there, Dave?
I'm not talking, I don't actually think trees are putting anything there as a float or anything would last, but perhaps a sign or something.
A sign,
You might get child friendly signs, I don't know, there must be things like that.
God forbid a child should fall in there. We wouldn't have a leg to stand on if we'd taken no measures or taken any kind of risk assessment.
I agree.
You know, God forbid.
But I can't see that what else we can do, Jean, apart from a sign, because
At least prove we've done something and looked into it. You know, I mean, at the moment, is there current documentation? When was the last time it was done? Has it been reviewed?
Can we get
The
that risk
latest
assessment?
guidelines?
Can we find that?
I suggest you get new one. I don't go on old information.
More money.
New risk assessment.
Okay.
I was actually asked by a parishioner to bring this up. It was nice concerns.
I think the cost is probably around that 20 quid to get a side for some reason. If you want to do something, you need to
Last month's minutes, anyway. Last month's
They had
minutes.
to be put in advance.
It was suggested that consideration should be given to consulting Ross for advice on safety measures for the pond in the park. It's on our last month's
It
minutes.
wasn't covered because Councillor Salvador was absent.
It's contact Ross.
No, it was under any other, it was under
The open
public
forum.
discussion.
I remember the public must have mentioned it.
Anyhow, we could contact Ross for an answer.
I think it was so that's my motion. Could I have somebody to second it, please? Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah,
All in
that's all.
favour?
All in favour? Hire equipment for the park.
I'd like to set the scene for this motion of mine. I've been going back through the minutes of previous meetings over the last couple of years. Those minutes are for full parish council meetings and the limited number of meetings that had been held or at least properly recorded, and then they were mainly for the meetings of the Finance and Staff Committee. I've also seen the claim documents in the public domain from Oxford County Court for the case between Professor and Mrs. Peel versus Aston Clinton Parish Council and Mr. Richard Maskell to help me put together the timeline of events. You need to be aware that there was an incident on the 11th of January 2013 when the police were called by the Peels when Councillor Maskell, with a man believed to be the temporary groundsman, was found to be cutting and removing wiring from the Peels chain link security fence and removing a section of post and wire fencing on the land of the old rectory farm, thereby committing an act of trespass. I can find no evidence of any prior or retrospective approval by the parish council for this trespass. So can one presume that Councillor Maskell was acting on his own initiative and not with the authority of the parish council? However, the parish council approved a payment of £208 for Mr. Joe Everett at the parish council meeting on the 6th of February 2013. I need to leave you wondering whether that included payment for the act of trespass. Turning to the details about the motion, I have scoured the minutes of the meetings prior to an incident that occurred on the 17th of May 2013. When a man driving a mechanical excavator and being personally supervised by Councillor Maskell was observed digging material from the stream without statutory consent from the Environment Agency and causing actual damage to the bank of the stream. He was also working over the stream and pulling up fence posts on the land owned by the old rectory farm. This is described in the court papers as an act of harassment and further trespass. I can find no evidence that this activity involving the use of a JCB was authorised in advance by a resolution of the parish council. However, we find that in the minutes of the parish council dated the 5th of June 2013, that councillors were invited by the chairman, Mr. Councillor Maskell, who was also chairman of the Finance and Staff Committee at the time, to approve a payment of services during May 2013 to Everett Agriculture for the sum of £1,321.50, which also included the hire of a JCP with driver. In the absence of a council resolution on this matter, and by his own admission at the last but one meeting of council, that Councillor Maskell was operating a regime with suppliers whereby he directed their work using verbal contract arrangements, whatever that means, can one draw the conclusion that allegedly Councillor Maskell personally directed the use of the excavator to undertake the activities with the JCB from Parish Council land on the 17th of May 2013. So that sets the scene, and I move the motion that Council agrees it should not pay for the hire of equipment for the use in the park if it has been used in an unlawful act.
Right. Well, obviously you haven't gone through the minutes all the way through, have you? So on the minutes on the 2nd of January, this council approved a letter from our solicitors, Horwood and James, addressed to, where are we? It was approved of a letter to the solicitors on behalf of the appeals, informing them that the fence that they had admitted was on our property. Within 11 days, 7 days, would be removed. There wasn't any damage, and that was what happened. I was not personally involved in that. I was only here at the park at the time, but when that was taking place, I was back here in this office for a meeting. So that was approved by the council. Right. Now, on the, what was it, the 17th of May? On the 17th of May...
Can I just make a point here that as clerk, I would have recommended that this definitely went into a closed session.
No, just a minute.
Personal matter.
No, I think this should be answered. Now, on the 17th of May, I wasn't in the park, so I could not have taken place in that. Not only that, the so-called illegal act that you, in these minutes, you make me like to read it. What the tractor, the JCB was hired for, was actually for the repair of Park View and also our car park. And to read that, it's highlighted.
Ignore it.
So
the JCB was hired to actually repair Park View. He had 3 quotes for it, and on that occasion I had a call from one of the residents of Park View, so he had the option of 140 tonnes of recycled tarmac, which was delivered to the park, and our groundsmen, using their own vehicles, laid that in the Park View and also in the main car park. There you are.
So can I go back to my motion? The council agrees it should not pay for the hired equipment for use in the park if it has been used in an unlawful act.
Who said it was used in an unlawful act?
This is a motion that we should not pay.
Read that.
Can I seek clarification, Mr. Chairman? You referred to this letter of the 2nd of January. Could you just remind us of the content?
The contents of the letter was, it went into great detail as to the ownership of that part of the park by the parish council, and ultimately it said that that which had been admitted and was on our property would be removed within 7 days and without causing any damage, and that is actually what happened. There is the underlined bit if you want to read it.
Mr Chairman,
If you want to go into closed session you can, but...
Well no, but why would you want to go into a closed session? Everybody in this thing, it comes to a particular reason to see what's going to go on in this meeting. I mean look, we used to have 3 people, look at all the people we have now. I come to this meeting to do things for the village. All we're here at this moment for is to see who's going to win, you or the Peels. It's come, and now you've become the Peel's lackey, obviously, that comes in into the meeting.
Withdraw.
And I'm not going to stay here as a parish councillor and listen to all this rubbish. I am fed up with it every meeting. It's nothing about the village.
Resign, exactly.
Well, I do intend to resign, but that'll cost us £200 odd more for another election. And I'm not saying I don't need to come to another parish council meeting. I can stay on the parish council and do it from home.
Well, that'd be useful, wouldn't it?
Well, you can do a lot from home.
Yeah, well, but...
So, councillor, the motion you want to do that who we have employed to actually do a lawful job in resurfacing the car park and there, which they did for, I think, about £1,000. That was an illegal act then, was it?
Stick to the motion.
I have all the court documents here, which
Well,
are...
that's got nothing to do with it, has it?
All the court documents are here. There are witness statements here
To what?
to
I wasn't there.
an act of trespass and harassment taking place.
I wasn't there.
What I think I will do is I'm going to leave these documents for anybody to have a look at, because these are all in the public domain.
And on that date in question, the first one, I only went up there to show the groundsman where it was. And on the second occasion where this digger was supposedly used, again, I wasn't in the park, and in fact it was being used quite lawfully to resurface the car park, which it was spent that week doing. And we had 3 quotes, in fact, and that's, in fact, we actually did it for £1,000.
Mr. Chairman, can I just check on, so if I'm just trying to get together a council, on the 17th, there was a digger of some sort, trespass, well, allegedly trespassing on Mr. and Mrs. Peel's land. So, but you're saying that we never hired one to do that. So my question is, what was it doing? What was this so-called digger doing there? Because there's obviously some digger there that's got no authority to be there. Because you in your own words are saying that we've not hired one to do anything up there, but there is, unless I'm wrong, unless you're saying there wasn't one there, was there a digger there, yes or no? Because if there was, then obviously someone without your authority has been there doing this work.
I wasn't on that day, I was not in the
I'm not questioning you.
but it's alleged that I was supervising it.
But I'm now actually asking is, if there was a digger there, then that's quite worrying, because someone's entered not only parish council land to get to that area without us knowing about it, and who was using it at the time.
Well, there we are.
So you've got no idea who that was?
I wasn't there. On that occasion...
That's very worrying, because obviously we've got a serious issue there where someone's obviously done an illegal act, by the sounds of it, allegedly. Possibly, whatever you want to call it. And you've got no idea at all, and perhaps it never happened. Perhaps this incident never happened, I don't know. We'll wait and see on that one, eh?
But to make allegations that I was in the park on the 17th of May, it was entirely untrue. Anyhow.
So this motion, you don't want the council to pay for any equipment used in an illegal act?
Well, we wouldn't employ it for an lawful act.
It'd be dodgy to do that anyway.
Exactly.
So what you're looking at here is
what actually happened.
Has it been in the hands of the police?
The police were called, yes.
And did they pursue it?
There's a county court case here against the Aston Parish Council and Richmond.
Is this the appropriate time to bring it up here?
Well, I'm just concerned that we paid as a parish council. I mean, bear in mind, this has happened over a year ago, but I came across this when I was looking at the minutes because I was being asked to make decisions on complex legal amounts of money, and I wanted to find out what on earth I was putting my hand up to. And I was quite concerned to see that the council had been asked to pay or approve a payment, and then there's all these details about what happened during the court case. These are all in the public domain. This was taken to court. This is what actually we have settled £78,000 upon.
Has it finished?
I hope so.
So then we'll see what
So why?
The problem is, this is what it's all about.
And yes,
This is
I mean,
what it's
yes.
all about.
Yes, but
This is why we
you-
haven't got any money, because of this land issue.
You can't change that now.
No,
You
but-
can't.
Yes,
Sit
but
and
we've
talk
had one
about it. You
councillor
can't.
just walk out because you're spending your time going through historic documents which have been all dealt with.
The sad thing is that they're not correct. You know,
Well, they're certainly
we
not
should,
correct if
as a
they're accused of leaving there.
as a council, we shouldn't be paying after the event. I mean, I've only been around for a very short time, but I can see that it keeps on happening. That something is paid for, and then you're chasing your tail trying to get permission to pay for it. It's the wrong way round, and this seems to be a prime example.
In fact, having sat in the chair for the clerk for some time now, the things like the extinguishers, that is done as an annual motion coming through, and they're expected to be paid. Now, we can cancel that and not have the fire extinguishers checked. We can not have this building checked.
Yes, but those are very important things, you know.
Well, the other things we have in here, we've got 3 bills for the street light maintenance.
Okay, could we draw a line under this? And
You started it.
Yeah.
You raised the motion, councillor.
Well, I would like to propose a motion that retrospectively and in the future we do not agree to anything that happens in an unlawful act, so that we set a marker.
You know that the code of conduct for the councillors, don't you? And what does it say? We shouldn't do anything illegal. Exactly. And in fact, this council, I was included on that as the parish council and Richard Maskell, and this council then passed a motion that I was acting as a chairman of the council and nothing to do with, I should never have been included on it.
Do we not trespass on the fields now?
No. Well, I can't say on that day because I wasn't there, but as far as as you see that that document, this was a boundary fence. Some of it was agreed to be on our property. It's there. You've got that document.
So I'm with the motion that it agrees it should not pay for the hire of equipment for the use in the park if it has been used in an unlawful act. That's my motion.
So what unlawful act did it do then?
No, generic. Grow up, generic. Some motion.
That was employed to lay the tarmac in the park, and that's what
It's
it
a
did.
motion.
This could refer to anything, couldn't it, going back?
Yeah, well, I will minute the fact that this parish council wants to limit the fact that it won't pay for equipment used.
Illegally. Well, that's fine.
If this is proved to be used in an illegal act, if this JCB trespass on the land.
Can you agree to this?
Yes, I mean, we've recently, all we've just seemed to do is to go into the history.
For everyone in the village.
Yeah. But not only of this, we have the history of anything that was taken part. Anyhow.
So is that unanimous that you won't pay for anything used for illegal purposes?
Especially if it's found to be illegal.
Can I just bring up one more item, Christine? I've noticed that down the far end of the park, beyond the tennis courts, there's quite a lot of litter in the long grass and right the way down. I've been watching over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks while I've walked my dog, so I'm not sure the litter picking is happening down the other end of the park, and I wondered whoever does a litter pick, maybe they could give that some particular attention.
Okay.
Thank you.
Allotments. We'll move on to the allotments. Just really smiling. this was asked by allotment holders to put this on the agenda. There's two things really. One was regards to the fencing around the allotment, and the second item was that more than once, or well, many times, in fact, I think about 4 occasions, we've had people pay for a 12-month lease or the hire of the allotments, and then they do precisely nothing. That becomes then overgrown, and to the detriment of all the other allotment holders, with weeds and the seeds of spreading over to their property. Now, it's in our actually, I think it's item 20 in the allotment agreement, that we should take the property, or rather take the lease back from the tenants. Is that, apparently we haven't been doing it. Maybe we haven't been approached to do it.
Mr. Chairman, I think if I recall on this, we, might have been a year ago, might have been a bit more than that, when Claire was the clerk, she actually did, say, evict someone, and it was absolute uproar because I think the poor lady was pregnant, or something like that, or there was something going on, and we didn't know about it. And allotment holders came up and said actually they were going to try and look after it for her. So we sort of tried to implement it and got shot ourselves in the foot. But I think they then said they were going to have a spokesman that was going to, if they felt themselves that someone needed evicting, they were going to come and tell us. So that it was sort of agreed by themselves.
Excuse me,
But
I've been doing it for months.
They have.
But it doesn't.
Oh, sorry, but I'm just saying that I thought actually it was.
That's why I'm here. I've been here for months and months.
Yeah, I thought it was Steve. That is Steve Davis. I think when he was here that night, do you know Steve?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure he was sort of. I don't know if he was sort of elected spokesman or something like that, but this is going back quite a while. But, and I think that's why probably we may not have pursued that in case we.
The last clerk said she'd done 4 letters and it transpired when she'd gone. I asked Richard to check and then I apologise for speaking.
It's all right, but yes, it did appear that the letters out of the 4 haven't got.
All right. But I do believe that's what, I don't know if any other councillors recall that, that was sort of agreed, because we sort of, we tried to help and then we didn't really kept not doing anything.
But in future, we will enforce that, it's at least 20, I believe.
Yes.
There was mention about a fence on there as well?
Yes, there is. The fence, the perimeter fence is.
Are we legally obliged to do anything about it? We haven't got one. That's what I'm sorry. So I don't think that's. There was a mention on that, wasn't there?
There was a
just
mention,
repair of the fence.
It was a.
Yeah.
There was a request to that.
But I don't think that's anything to do for us.
No, we initially, I think we did put the fencing up, but they've repaired their own from now on.
It says here they want the fence to be complete around the allotments. Apparently there are gaps in the fence.
I think there's one particular.
So we can ignore that, can we then? Okay.
Others are responsible for their own fencing.
Right.
They choose not to do it and
That's-
tatty and falling
That's
down
up to the other allotment holders to
But
sort them.
having said that, the parish council is supposed to police it and say, excuse me, that could be a danger. You know, if a dog or a person goes alongside where you've got a fence falling over. But ours are neat, aren't they? You know, so just the ones that aren't.
Yeah, so are you asking us to chase those? You're not?
We're asking you to, as a parish council, to uphold the rules that we insisted we had.
Yeah, which is these people who are not maintaining it. I understand that.
That's all right. Yeah.
So the bit about the fence, that's sort of irrelevant. That doesn't really
If the fence
do
is falling down, then that's up to you. But I'm not.
Well, you say it's up to you, meaning us.
You lot.
Well, I don't think it is.
Of course it is. If you
I don't think we have any legal thing to do anything about the fence around the allotment.
fencing, but the fences are
We can
falling
tell
over
them
your
off.
footpaths.
We can tell the people off.
Yes.
Right.
Carry on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Right. Okay. So we'll those 4 that
There's
yeah.
more. But
There's more. All right. Yeah. I'll see what the
Your
letters.
next clerk will actually do the job that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or the temporary one.
Oh,
Okay. Well, Remembrance Sunday. This was Teresa.
Well, unfortunately, Councillor Kirkland's gone and she's got all the information and everything on it. But I can,
There's nothing extra to report though, because you reported
Well,
last time.
more or less.
Yes, well, I've looked to see if we've got a there's an authorisation for a road closure, and I think they were done centrally.
Well, we had a meeting
yeah.
and, yes.
And the temporary clerk has sent out all the letters to all the people who usually attend.
Okay, that's good.
Might get a tick.
It's very sad that the parish council's at war.
Yeah. And there's nothing else on that. It's all in hand, isn't it? Membership of the staff, local government pension scheme, that's already been mentioned by Chair. It was mentioned at staff and finance. There is a recommendation that we pass this council actually passes a recommendation, if we haven't already, because it's already been discussed, that we will allow any future employees to join the scheme. And did we take a vote on that last time? I seem to have lost.
Yeah, we've done that.
We're all right on that. We've done that. We've also covered minutes of the parish council meetings, or have we not?
At the risk of boring you all, I've been looking at the minutes over the last 2.5 years. I requested them all from Clerk Casey, so that I was fully briefed on all the background of the issues that I was being asked by council, as I said before. I found a considerable number of inaccuracies in the minutes. On the subject of the significant financial inaccuracies since January 2012, I prepared a spreadsheet that I circulated to all the members. And there are cells marked in orange. There are over 25 of them. This is why council have been asked to approve a monthly amount for bill payment that doesn't add up to the sum of the individual transactions. None of this was being checked properly by the clerk or the finance committee. What's very telling in recent months is that the payments for the land dispute have been presented in piecemeal manner to the council. Indeed, the council last month, I've already mentioned, didn't record the £25,750 that was paid in August. And as Jeff pointed out, the whole cost of the land dispute now stands at £78,210. The final aspect that's missing is any detail about petty cash expenditure. The clerk is allowed to hold a £200 petty cash sum, but at no point has council been asked for approval for this expenditure. And this is one of the weak areas for council, with very great risk of fraud. In the period 2012 to April 2014, there were 31 meetings of the parish council, either as normal meetings or extraordinary meetings. And within those meetings, there have been 19 with closed sessions and 12 without closed sessions. Of the 19 meetings with closed sessions, there have been 8 meetings with no closed session minutes recorded, and 11 where minutes and the decisions recorded were kept but not released to the public. This is illegal under the Local Government Act of 1972. It makes one wonder what was discussed and not recorded at those 8 meetings, because I'm aware that the council was considering financing options for the legal case, including the option to take out a loan for £100,000 to fight the case in the High Court. I have copies, hard copies, of all the minutes that Clerk Casey has given me, and I have summarised my analysis on the table, which I circulated to members before the meeting. Let me highlight one meeting so that the significance of what has been going on can be appreciated. An initial agreement was reached by Councillor Maskell with the Professor and Mrs Peel on the 13th of April 2012. On the 5th of February 2013, Councillor Maskell as chairman sat through a 6-hour negotiation meeting and signed with Councillor Watson, John Watson I believe, and on behalf of the council he heads an agreement with the Peels to bring an end to the dispute over the land boundary issue. The agreed sum to be paid for damages at the time the agreement was signed was only £280. This would have saved the council an awful lot of money and wasted effort, as it now transpires. You will recall that my spreadsheet documentation says that the expenditure over the period is now clear, has amounted to over £78,000. However, at the closed session part of the Parish Council meeting on the 3rd of April 2013, unbeknown to the public, Councillor Crook proposed a motion to vote against ratifying the Heads of Agreement. What prompted him to do so is not clear. However, it is minuted that the chairman stated that under the terms and conditions of the council, land owned by the council should not be given away, despite him having sat through a 6-hour meeting to negotiate and sign, on behalf of the council, the Heads of Agreement on the 5th of February. This motion was supported by Councillors Crook, Maskell, John Watson, Richards, Kirkland, Martin Watson and Harrison. It was opposed by Councillor Plowman and Mooney, and Councillors Wallace and Parsonage abstained. Indeed, Councillor Parsonage proposed an alternative motion to accept the Heads Agreement, but this was rejected by the chairman. Under the law, this motion and resolution to vote against ratifying the Heads Agreement should have been recorded in the public domain. So it appears that Clark Hill had been preparing for nearly 2.5 years 2 sets of minutes for certain meetings where there was a closed session, and a question remains about what was decided at the 8 meetings with a closed session when no record was apparently kept. Clark Hill had not attempted to summarise the decisions reached in the minutes of the closed session meetings in the body of the public minutes of the main meeting. The minutes of the closed session meetings have not been presented to the public in the minutes book as required by law. The chairman has presented the incomplete minutes of meetings where closed session decisions were not recorded as if they are an accurate record of the meeting, and the chairman has invited councillors to approve the minutes of the meetings as an accurate record of the meetings. The chairman has then signed the minutes, which are stored in the minutes book, in the full knowledge that certain decisions reached by the council have not been included within the public record. I must add that since Clark Casey took office during the period of May to August 2014, closed session minutes and decisions have been appropriately desensitised in the formal minutes of the meeting, thereby satisfying the legal requirements. The legislation, the acts are here, does not contain any exceptions in relation to decisions made when the public has by resolution been excluded from the meeting, nor do our standing orders. I therefore move that the motion that the council agrees to correct the significant inaccuracies found in the minutes of parish council meetings. You can't go out.
Legal technical notes.
It's now a legal document.
So they are all inaccurate.
What you will have to do is if every single item that you're unhappy with, bring it to the parish council meeting, and you have to go to the vote to see whether it can be amended in formal minutes.
There are quite a few.
I'm not quite sure what you will achieve though.
Well, when I first became a councillor, I promised that I would be open and honest and transparent with whatever I found. And I had to go back through the minutes because I needed to understand. And there are inaccuracies, and so therefore I have found things that aren't right.
But it would be up to the council to decide, because we all have opinions about things, and something like that could be considered to be a bit subjective.
If they're closed session minutes though, and they're not being recorded anywhere in the minute book for the public, that's what surprised me.
Just 1 minute. When Councillor Casey took over, it was her that first said that we should not only record them, but also that they could be included in the action. I mean, that's not my excuse. Now, I understood up till then that our clerk was recording them, and but not for publicity. And in fact, I asked her on the occasions where they were, and she said they're on our computer.
Well,
but
I discovered this while I was. I mean,
yeah.
as a clerk, what do you think, Christine?
Well, that's the only solution. You can't now go back 2 years when you haven't got the same council members. A lot of people's memories will have faded, and they have been signed off. And as I say, you're a corporate body, and if somebody doesn't agree with what's on the minutes at that time, and you weren't on the council at that time, so
I wanted to bring it to the attention of the councillor that things have not been done correctly.
I think members might want to consider why a member of this council would want to go back over that period of time and do that kind of research.
Well, as I explained before, councillor, I was being asked to make decisions on very complex financial and legal issues which I had no idea what I was being asked to vote upon. And so much of this has been what I can gather with email conversations. And on my very, very first meeting, I was asked to vote to agree to pay a large sum of money, which I knew nothing about. So I'm afraid I asked Clerk Casey what I should do, and she said, I will send you all the minutes so that you can understand what's been happening. Because I had no idea.
But up until she took office and actually went on the training courses, that we didn't realise that they had to be included in the actual...
So Clark Hill didn't know?
Apparently not. And she was on courses too. But I mean, I'm not passing it, she did, when I did ask her them, she said they are recorded on their computer.
Did you know, because it's in our standing orders,
That what?
that all minutes, the minutes should be an accurate account, and even the sessions that are held in closed sessions should be suitably desensitised and presented to council?
No, I didn't know that actually, but I do know that a lot of that was very much personal details. It wasn't only the things that you suggested. There were very much, many of those, as you probably read yourself, would be anything but confidential.
But you've still got quite a lot of meetings here that don't have any minutes whatsoever.
Well, they might very well be there. I was told they're on our...
Clark Casey gave me all the minutes.
Oh, well.
So there are some minutes from meetings that aren't there at all?
At all, no.
Can't say I've looked for them, but... They should be there. I mean, you're right, they should be recorded, even if we do
all council meetings,
I mean, even the
subcommittee
closed
meeting,
session.
council meeting. So, what would you think were the best thing to do about this?
Is list the ones that are actually missing. In other words, you need to know what dates the meetings were.
I've got a big...
Right, yes. And then you need to go through upon the computer, someone's on the computer and see if they can find them.
And bring them to the attention of the council.
And bring them to the council for approve as far as you can. You need to include that, especially one too much. As far as I know, this council's still got 2 years worth of minutes which were...
I think, as from my point of view, as person is in the village, I think it's very important that parishioners know what's been decided on their behalf, and the only way they're going to get those information is minutes.
That's why they need to be recorded and signed individually on the page. It's all quite straightforward. I'm just extremely surprised that Claire didn't
I just
have all the minutes on.
I just couldn't, I wanted to bring it to the attention of the council, because I don't like to, if I find something's wrong, then I feel it should be put right if possible.
But I think the facts need to be verified before we do anything, so that incorrect conclusions aren't made. So, is it possible for somebody to access that computer?
Of course, yes, of course.
And sort of that, because it's a very time-consuming, isn't it?
You have all the dates here, don't you, anyway, the ones that are missing, so it shouldn't take that long for someone to try and find them.
In fact, this one you can actually put in a search and find them.
Can I just ask the clerk a quick question? The notes you make in your notebook, do they have to be kept legally? Is it your notebook?
No. I keep my VAs because I like to refer back. The trouble is that in this society that we live in now, the kind of blame culture, and everybody wants to eat everybody else, if you've got this document, it's a public document and you can look at it. Now, my my notes, I haven't got anything to hide in them, but there are a lot of clerks that because they're asked to produce their actual words, they just destroy them for some special meetings, aren't they? But I'm sorry, I don't do that, I keep them
They should be, shouldn't they?
well, it depends what's in your notes, yes, because they're actually your own notes.
Yes.
But no, these are not required to be kept.
So, can somebody second my motion, please?
Second it.
What's the actual motion?
It's to agree to correct the significant inaccuracies found in the minutes of parish council meetings.
You might want to set up a working party.
Yeah.
I find that you can allot time to that sort of thing, you know, to do that way, so you know you won't get interrupted because it's going to be very time consuming.
To be
And
honest,
there's no guarantee at the end that
No.
what you produce will be so.
no, but at least, you know, the desensitised version, obviously without confidential
Oh, that's right, you
problems,
must be very careful.
then it can be available for the public. Thank you, Christine.
I've got a proposal, Jane, and I've got a seconder. Have I got any votes for that motion? One, two, three, four, five, three against, 5, 4, 3 against. I suggest that the people that are for that motion are always sit on the working party.
You see, I've done most of the analysis, so I'm quite happy to sit on the working party. I've done most of the work anyway. Can you help me now?
Right, we'll move on then to discuss and provide responses to correspondence received. I suppose you've had it, Christine. No. The only one of significance, which I did circulate to councillors, which was from our tenant at the hub with regards to the monthly, which only turned out to be one, I believe, craft antiques fair, which I questioned him what authority there was with regards to the marquee being erected in front of the hub. Members will know that other than the patio area, and possibly, when I say possibly, it needs some close measurement, some of the grass, but there's certainly beyond that for a marquee, that's in parish council property and according to the bylaws, would leave the authority for us for someone to erect it.
So the outcome is he won't do that again without.
Well, he won't do that again, yes, but he's also, he did say that it was organised by, we had another, I think today, an email in that to the effect that he did say at the time it was organised by someone else, and as it did give me a name. But again, if they're going to want to do that, then they need the authority of the council to do so.
And what's the answer likely to be, Richard, so that people here know whether, if there's a marquee there?
Well, it's entirely up to the members. I mean, in the past we've agreed to a beer festival, we've agreed to all types of things in the park. It's entirely whatever the person wants to do, whether what the members at the time consider appropriate.
I think I mentioned in my email regarding it was for insurance purposes. I've got no issues with the hub putting a marquee up if it's for the good of the village. But obviously, I was more concerned about, you know, where does insurance lie if there was an incident in that marquee? Was it left to the parish council?
No, I don't think
If it's on our land, that's a problem, isn't it? It's not in his.
It's not a parish council activity.
And also, is he allowed to sort of sublet to a third party if somebody else is running it? I'm not sure.
He can't at all because it's not on his property.
If somebody else is running it.
It's the same with whenever we have other events here, that they come to us and ask for permission to do so.
It's just polite, isn't it? So let's be informed what's going on.
And in the past we've agreed to them. I don't think we've ever refused it.
Well, there's no insurance
Well, of course.
complications.
Well, yes, we do ask for, public liability. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
as long as we do that, that's fine.
Do we not, as a parish council, give Andy Smith, is it, a hard time over him wanting to set up a cult football event, and we had to have risk assessments and we had to have certificates and this, that and the other? Why are we applying different rules to Gary?
But no, it's not Gary we're applying them to. We're only applying them to people on our property.
Yeah, but if he puts a marquee up on our property,
No, that's
he'll have
the
to
thing.
provide us with the risk assessment first, won't he?
Yeah.
But if we've got to have a meeting with him, then we can go through this with him, can't we?
Well, there's no
Well,
reason
worry
why
about it now.
there's no reason why he should apply the same as anyone else.
No. And provide us with the risk assessment.
That's right.
Someone else could do
And Jean, you've got an answer.
Yes, Richard, you circulated, I think it was from you, Richard, circulated to all the councillors. We've had an invitation
Oh, yes.
to go to, would you like to read it out? And if you
It's to Green Park.
circulated it?
It's gone to everyone. It's to Green Park.
Yes, it's Green Park. The Adventure Learning Foundation have been operating Green Park and have had a first year of operation. And it's also just celebrating Green Park's 50th birthday. Our birthday party will be on the 16th of October from 6 over dinner at Green Park. And I presume its councillors have been invited.
16th of October.
16th of October for dinner.
We've all had that, Jean.
Yes, I just wanted to know if anybody else was a good idea going. Are we looking?
No. Other invitations, I think we were well represented there.
If
Are we replying direct to Green Park, or are we
Yeah,
the
as a
parish council?
council.
Well, I individually reply. I don't expect everyone will go.
are we expecting them to look with more liaison with us?
Oh,
I
yes.
remember Tony alluded to that.
Yes, we've been up there. We've had them when they first started with it. Yes.
So are they looking to do anything else with us, or
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
No.
are you going, Marion?
I don't know if I will now, actually, I don't know how I feel about it.
If that's all on correspondence, then new business to be discussed and noted for the next month's agenda.
Planning.
Nothing from councillors? I'm sure something will come up in the coming months. To consider and approve planning applications which are generally available. I'm sure that those present will want to know that the Parish Council has strongly objected to the development of 91 houses on the junction of Brook Street and College Road. And that had to be in by the 29th. But I gather that that's been quite a lot of objections throughout the village there. And unfortunately, I think there's others in the pipeline.
Was that objection, was that done at the last meeting, or anything, was that discussed by anybody, or how was that done, that objection?
It was discussed with those who are on the planning. Yeah.
Right, and who's on the planning committee?
That's Joe, Tony,
John.
and John as our advisor.
Tony was writing, wasn't he?
Tony was. He did. Yeah.
I'm seeing Tony, so.
Yeah,
Did
so,
you all get the bulletin?
yeah, so
Yeah.
bulletin, yeah.
I'll take your email and I'll send it to you.
Colin?
Read, oh yeah,
Or on my webpage.
yeah, at talk.
Right. Public participation, 15 minutes. Well, we're supposed to be over in 2 hours, but 3 minutes. If I members of
Is it in your standing orders that it's got to be 2 hours?
No.
No.
2.5 maximum.
2 hours.
Yes.
Chairman, I think there were some inaccuracies in some of the statements tonight, but rather than debate those, what I propose to do is to write in to the council, so perhaps that could be considered under correspondence next time.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Chairman, just in case anybody's interested, I don't suppose they are, but still. The gate they intend putting across College Road, south, is now going ahead apparently. They had 13 for it, one against and 2 neutral. But they informed me that they're going to put the gate just bottom of my property. It's going to go there for a year's period. And if it doesn't work, they can leave the gate there but leave it open. But instead of taking the other gateway away, they're going to leave the 2 gates down the bottom and put a brand new one down there. So there'll be 3 gates, but it's 3 lots of padlocks. We've got a couple of go in there instead of 2.
Yes, it's on the agenda tomorrow, the local area forum actually.
Driveway will be a turn.
Anyone else?
I just wondered if the council is going to do, I know you've now written, I've managed to find your letter on the website of Aston Council. I wonder if you can take a more active part in opposing the 91 houses. We've obviously got the committee, which I'm on, the Preserve Aston Clinton Village Environment, and I wonder if anything else can be done, because there's a huge number of objections on that site, and clearly the parish is particularly against this piece of development. I wonder if you were going to do any more other than write one letter.
Well, I would expect we'll have a representation at the planning committee, certainly. We have others.
Is that anything else? You know, to support the village at all? We have got a lot of people behind us. They work particularly hard.
Has the parish not objected then?
They have. We have written. Yeah, there's a letter gone in, but it's not.
Parish council has
not
limited
detailed.
powers. It's not a planning authority.
But it's a statutory consultee.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is, but they're not obliged to take any notice at all of what the parish council says.
No, but the parish council do represent
And they have,
the people within the village.
they have
The village
objected.
particularly opposed to this particular.
They have objected already, so unless there's a new reason for them to object.
I just asked them to do more than write a letter. That was
And
all.
I think most of us will probably have objected as councillors individually.
Most people, not all of you have. Some of you have, and some of you haven't. I've been through every single letter.
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming that these letters of objection, and if the officer's recommendation is going to be to refuse that application, then I'm assuming that you don't want it to go to the planning committee, because there would be no point in taking it to the planning committee if you are all objecting to it. So I can take that back on Friday and let them know.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're happy with it, if I can say, if the officer's recommendation is for refusal, officers please refuse without taking it to the planning committee.
Can I also ask one further question? Why the chairman has said that he feels he can't object to this? I was told that I've been told that you said to somebody you were unable to object because you felt you had an interest or something.
Well, I said writing in personally. No, I didn't write in personally, but my wife has.
What actually do you think we can do to help?
I mean, anything you can. Most of you have written, I think. I can give you a list of who has written and who hasn't generally. By what we're doing, keeping sort of.
So once we've done that now, and that's sort of finished, it now it moves on, doesn't it, to see what AVDC do?
Speaking to people at AVDC, find out what's going on. We have more influence than perhaps the group that we've set up has. We're a voluntary group of people who are just doing a small amount of work around the village. Not quite a lot of work around the village recently, to be honest. And it's just whatever, you have more influence than us, and you do represent the people who live here and there.
We don't know.
I find that if you've got individual residents writing in, it's very, very powerful.
I know that, and we've been doing this, but I'm the secretary of this committee, I'm also a lawyer, and I do know, I know quite a lot about all this, but now, more than 2 months ago, but it's just, the council had written a letter, admittedly, not very long ago, they just got on the website. And I just wondered anything else they can do. That's all I asked. Just with them.
Well, we can try and communicate with the AVDC and see if they say anything, but that's about it. Have you gone down this section 6 route or whatever?
Not yet. No, we can't do that yet.
You can't do that yet.
We haven't got any further than just literally because they have actually extended the objection period from 29th now to the 13th of October. So there is longer now to write with. It's over. I've been counting last night. It keeps changing the number. They keep taking that longer.
200.
Yeah, I keep counting them, but they keep changing. I was doing a spreadsheet last night and they're changing it today. So it gets pretty confusing. Yeah, there's more to come, I think. A lot more to come.
John, I'm sure you've got something to say.
No.
Anyone else?
Please, if I may just ask a question about the minutes for September. It says on here about the clerk, AKC, August salary. Was that July salary rather than August salary? Because if she resigned on the 6th of the 8th, why was she then paid £795.73 for August?
Well, she actually, I think her leaving date was the 14th of August. So it would have gone into that period.
Okay. Is that a whole month's wages though, or is that part of it? Just a question.
That's not strikes me as very high, but just for half a
It's
month.
£1,000 a month, I think.
Just curious. Wasn't sure whether it was actually August salary or whether it should have been July salary.
She actually, her leaving date was the 14th. There could have been.
And just one more, sorry. On behalf of Mrs. Lawson from the youth club next door, she actually wrote a letter at the end of July asking about the door closure. But nothing's happened about it yet and it hasn't been brought up on this. She can put another letter in for next month's agenda if you so wish, or what should she do?
Yeah, well, if there's something to be done, by all means, yes. The door closer.
On the front door? Yeah.
But it's...
Or is it broken?
I think it's actually on that table over there.
Oh, is that it?
So it needs to be put back up at least?
Yes, definitely.
All right.
And also, who is responsible for the electrical testing? Is it the youth club or is it the council? You'd like to know.
I think it was done by
Sound property, isn't it?
yes.
It's our property.
It is our property. We would have it done. We've just had the fire assessment on it.
Yeah, because she asked about a smoke alarm as well. Because she said she believed the fire brigade would actually fit them for free, but she's not sure whether.
Yes, the actual fire extinguishers and the fire assessment was done in the last month.
Okay, lovely.
Can I just ask, has anybody worked out yet who gave permission for the lamp post to be moved at the parish's expense in, I can't remember.
Oh, it was
do you remember there was a...
Yes, it was never resolved.
So we still don't know who authorised it?
No.
But we've still paid for it?
Let's see.
£2,000.
Mr. Chairman,
No, it's £1,200 actually.
on that, when I looked into that, the emails went back to our previous clerk, Claire, sending authorisation. As councillors, if we authorise some works or something, we are personally responsible if we don't get a council motion, I believe. Does that also apply to clerks? And Crystal might be.
I'm not with you.
Well, when I've gone back over the emails for this particular, the authorisation, or let's say, or the order was placed by the clerk, but there was no council motion. Actually, it was an opposite. No, we didn't want it moved.
It depends what powers of delegation the clerk has got.
Well, not up to that amount. I think she had up to about £500. And this was about.
It says in the standing orders.
Yeah, it was about. I think it was about £1,400 in total. The works came to.
Right.
So, I'm not saying that we should. I'm just putting it out, just asking a question. Is
Well, it's useful to know what the situation is in the future, should it occur again.
Yeah.
You need to, if it's an urgent requirement.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It was cosmetic.
It was cosmetic.
Right.
It was. Well, I don't understand why she would have approved or sent the order to get the work done. We were, from what I can gather, the chairman and everyone else, we were completely in the dark about it.
So she didn't discuss it with anybody?
Apparently not.
Well, there's nothing you can do about it now, but it's not really the right way of going about it.
No, but is the clerk though responsible, like we are responsible if we authorise work? She's not.
No, you can't send a bill, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Any more?
I was going to say, you know, you're employing a new clerk and you're going to do your best to get who, I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to.
Someone that knows their job, hopefully.
Well, yeah, somebody who's good to shoot would be lovely. When you employ them, I know there have to be specific terms and conditions, i.e. sick pay. Will it be as it has been in the past, where we've spent an awful lot of money on somebody who went sick and then went sick again and then went sick again? Or is that a point of law? Do you have to give them this wonderful package that says we pay you for 6 months, then your pay goes halfway?
No, you don't. It's up to the council to decide what the terms and conditions are. And they could say there is no sick.
My job, I don't get any sick pay at all.
Oh, good. So it'll be...
It's something you can suggest to the council. No, I just it's up to the council to decide. They're the people that are the council as a whole is the employee of the council, and it's up to them.
I just don't want us to go down that route again where we spend a lot of money on somebody who's absent and then have to pay double the money to keep the park. I mean, the park was abysmal before that certain person went, and now it's fantastic. So I've got no beef about what's happened. It's just the fact that month after month we were paying a salary to an invisible man. And
Yes, well, that was one of the questions that we discussed on the subcommittee on this, to see what, I don't say the minimum, but what we should for sick pay, yes.
Protect the parish a bit.
I mean, yes, there's 6 months full pay was...
There is a contract, and I think it's going to be brought to the Finance and Staff Committee to discuss before it's...
Yes.
Is that the standard one? Because it's quite generous.
It is, and we've trimmed it.
Yeah.
Well, we will see what we can do rather than...
There's lots of highlighted in yellow where it can be adjusted into what you want as a council.
Bill, just 2 quick points, Chairman, if I may. One is of information. If any of you find a defective pothole, a light out, a footpath in defect or anything, go on to the Bucks County Council website and you can report it yourself and get an instant automated reply where you will be given a number, and it will ask you the size of the hole, where the hole is, and you can pinpoint it on a map within a metre. It's all done by GLS. No issues, and once we know about them, we've got to try and use something with them if they are seen as categorised to actually quite a big pothole. I say that because a lot of people report potholes to me. You can make the pothole be filled a lot quicker by reporting them yourself. And then the other point, Chairman, I've seen a councillor leave here tonight that has given tremendous years to this village. And it saddens me that Teresa have gone out without even a word of thanks from anybody. And I hope somebody will thank her for all the hard work she's done over the years. She's no particular friend of mine, always were friends of mine, but I do know that she and many other parish councillors have put a lot of time, and we have trusted them for many years, and I don't like seeing a councillor leaving like that.
She left because she didn't like what she heard.
She hasn't.
And she has her choice to get up and walk out.
She hasn't resigned.
I'm not saying any more, I just think it's sad.
Councillor Chappell, if I can just throw 2 pence in here, you're sitting very close to 2 long-serving councillors.
I know.
And a ditto. I requested that we all divvied up and contributed to a thank you to those councillors. I had 3 responses from this committee, which is frankly disgraceful. And unfortunately, it's those that have joined the council in more recent years that have failed to recognise the service and dedication that other councillors have given over the years.
Mr. Chairman, can I just strongly object to that comment? John Watson will confirm that I spoke to him a little time after he resigned and said, "Has the parish council sent you a letter?" And John said, "No, I got an email." And I brought it to the attention of the parish council, and I believe the parish council minutes will record the fact that I said we should send a letter, and the clerk did nothing about it. By which time it was just frankly too embarrassingly late to pass it on to John. So, Councillor Watson, with respect, I regret you said that. It is blatantly wrong.
It is not. You did not reply to my request for a contribution to a gift for the councillors that left after a combined contribution of nearly 60 years to this village.
Yes, it was just too late and too embarrassing, wasn't it?
I don't consider the short space of time, but I sent the email out requesting a contribution And you, councillor, as you mentioned it, were one
I
of
didn't
those
want to start the
who
conversation
refused
again.
to
I said what I
contribute.
said because I think Teresa was a big power council. End of story. I'm not trying to relight the fire.
Well, she hasn't resigned, but she
hasn't resigned.
doesn't like to attend these meetings.
I just wanted to say, while you're talking about thanking people, obviously you're talking about thanking councillors, but there's also people in the village that do things out of the goodness of their heart, like the gentleman around the corner. And I wondered whether anyone ever thanked him for keeping up the warm environment. I think something like that would be.
We don't do that. We're not here for that.
It is very much.
We always thank John, even
He did mention, I'd like to say, last meeting, he did mention that he hasn't been thanked, that's why we...
he hadn't been thanked, and he spent his day painting the railings too. Anyhow, you do get thanked, John.
Thank you, John.
Anyone else before we so close the meeting? Well, thank you all for coming. It's been a really long one, but there we are.
I think they all